I'm going to tell them that the most important things to look for are the changes that take place in our bodies when we grow up.
How did you learn about sex? Were you like many children in the United States in the 50s and 60s who just sort of pieced it together on your own? Nobody told you much that was useful, that is. And sometimes they even discouraged you from learning anything they considered shameful, like masturbation or nudity. Even if you're a boomer, you may not remember this. There was a famous sex education documentary produced in 1947 called Human Growth. This short film was shown in many public schools for years. It was written by Dr. Lester F. Beck, a professor of psychology at the University of Oregon. He wanted to promote healthy sexuality and family life. The film was even issued in a revised version in 1962, a black and white version. We'll get into why later. It even has a narrative structure. It's set in a middle school where the class is discussing a movie about adolescent sexual growth. Sort of. But first, it begins in a family living room.
That's an interesting point, George. In fact, it fits in very well with the film Josie told us about.
Hey, when are we going to see that film, Josie? Tomorrow. I have to tell the class what to look for, Daddy.
Have you decided what you're going to say?
They certainly won't discuss nudity. Most adolescents encountered their first nudes within the pages of National Geographic, and they were in sharp black and white. The magazine featured mostly topless natives from the global south. It could get away with displaying nudity then because, well, they weren't white. Nevertheless, the pictures in this school geography book don't look quite right. For example, what have they done to this one? They've essentially rendered female anatomy sexless. This artistic decision was as intentional as the movie's harmless title, Human Growth. Sounds like a biology movie about cell division, doesn't it? Here's a sample clip from this film within a film.
Here are two average babies, a little boy and a little girl. In the course of a few years, they will grow to maturity. During the first 3 years, growth is very rapid. The boy and girl become twice as tall and 3 times as heavy as they were at birth. By the age of 6, more height and weight have been added. Notice that the boy is a little bigger than the girl.
And some reactions the students have after the film runs.
Do boys have anything like menstruation?
I heard Mother tell a neighbor I was born cesarean. What does that mean?
Why don't all people have red hair?
What happens if more than one sperm cell enters an egg cell? Are girls always bigger than boys at 12 or 13? Everybody says I look like Aunt Sarah. Why do I have to look like her when I don't like her?
All of those are excellent questions. You students who've been watching this film, you've heard the questions we're going to discuss. You can discuss these same questions with your teacher, and you can ask any others you have.
The teacher is right about these questions being excellent, and they're nowhere near as bad as they could be. Of course, they could have asked questions many kids in that room are probably thinking.
Why can't I have breasts like Rosie? It's not fair.
How do I, masturbate?
But even the real questions the kids asked get dispatched fairly quickly. So why aren't any of their questions answered? Human Growth seems to be saying, feel free to skip over any of these you don't like. Or add a few of your own. Go ahead, talk about sin and damnation if you so prefer. Nobody's monitoring you. Despite these cautious editorial decisions, Human Growth still encountered noisy backlash from conservative and religious groups. Christians argued that the film was inappropriate for children and that sex education was not the purview of schools. In 1952, an article in the Catholic World criticized the film, stating, "The presentation of such material to young children is a violation of their innocence and a usurpation of parental authority." Sex ed became a hot topic, with demonstrations erupting nationwide, mostly against it. Why did this happen? Consider the times. Remember, this was the McCarthyite 50s. Comic books with risque covers were being lambasted in the halls of Congress during Senator Kefauver's subcommittee on juvenile delinquency.
All of our testimony from psychiatrists and children themselves show that it's very upsetting, that it has a bad moral effect, and that it is directly responsible for a substantial amount of juvenile delinquency and child crime.
Such a climate made it easy to snatch Human Growth screenings from the roster, due to pressure from local politicians and right-wing community groups. One Midwestern school board voted to ban the film after a heated public meeting. A board member complained, "This film is not suitable for our children. It crosses the line that should not be crossed in a public school setting." Could this be why the film's next release was changed from color to black and white? That's right, they actually did that. Nobody gave any reasons, but it may have been because the filmmakers were told that color was just too vivid and lifelike. The anatomical and reproductive content of Human Growth, what there was, could have been seen as too provocative to children.
At certain times, the sperm cells pass from the testes through the tubes and out the penis.
The sex organs of the girl consist of the tubes, the uterus, and the vagina.
The testes begin to produce sperm cells. These sperm cells are carried through the tubes in a thick, colorless liquid called semen, and at certain times are expelled through the penis. In addition to the ovaries, the sex organs of the girl consist of the tubes, the uterus, and the vagina.
Looks less threatening in black and white, doesn't it? Human Growth wasn't the only sex education film screening back then. Smaller companies also released them. A few were even banned, like Dr. Sigmund Winston's Masturbation, Putting the Fun in Self-Loving. Others were aimed at particular audiences, like Only Girls, and sometimes veered into the outright bizarre.
Here's a place where I want to make a brief comment about the influence of the advertising world in stimulating sexuality. Sales pitches for titillating devices such as perfumes, clothes, makeup are designed to lure the young girl or her over-anxious parent into accepting this exaggerated emphasis on sexuality or sex appeal.
Hello, I'm Angela, and over the next few sessions, we're going to be together talking about you growing up, your body, its changes. This special, exciting feeling. So much so that people are tempted to do it before they're married. But God doesn't want people to have sexual intercourse before they're married. And you remember, He's the inventor, and He knows what's best.
Even though the 1962 version of Human Growth came out when I was a mere 15, I never saw it. It didn't screen in my school. There may have been too much guff from parents about inappropriate language in classrooms. I even heard a conversation between my mother and a neighbor. Both agreed with what they'd read in the local newspaper, probably the Danvers Herald. It's instruction best left for the home. as if that was ever discussed in most family gatherings. There's plenty of blame to go around for the dearth of sexual education during that period, perhaps even now. Call them what you'd like, Republicans, Christian nationalists, or just standard hidebound conservatives. They appear to have won this round in the sex education struggle. Even though some sexual information has managed to squeeze through, it's more likely that the average male does know what a clitoris is and approximately where it is. They just don't know how vast it is.